up, guys? I'm Pete Mundo. HeartlandCollegeSports.com is, of course, how you find us all the time talking Big 12 football, basketball, baseball in the spring. But right now, of course, it is all about conference realignment. We are on Facebook Live. We are on YouTube as well. And we appreciate you joining us here as we ramp up the YouTube page. The podcast has done very well. Go find us wherever you get your podcast. But right now, let's dive into it on Facebook. You can comment here, and then, of course, we appreciate you guys subscribing on YouTube as well. So I put up a post on the website, heartlandcollegesports.com, the other night, and it was the question of whether or not you want to see Colorado back in the Big 12. And I was surprised. I've been surprised at the backlash that many of you have had against Colorado. I am happy to welcome Colorado back into the Big 12. I want to see Colorado back in the Big 12. I think it's good for the league. I think it's good for college football. I think for those of you that know this team from its time in the Big 12 North, and you remember K-State and Kansas and Iowa State and those schools playing Colorado, I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun for the Big 12 to have Colorado back in the league. I know some of you are really upset with how they left, but there's a lot. I think if we go back in time and look at how and why Colorado left, I believe it becomes more understandable. And I hope you would join me with that thought process well. And here's why. So Colorado was sitting there looking at the Big 12 saying, okay, Texas and Oklahoma almost went to the Pac-10, right? The Pac-10 at the time almost stole almost half the Big 12 teams. Texas, OU, and Oklahoma State and a couple of Texas schools were all going to go west. And then it fell apart. And Colorado thought to itself, we do not want to be the last man standing. They had no school to partner with, right? There was no co-in-state school to partner with. They had nothing going for them. And when they got the invite to the Pac-12, they went west. I don't blame them. Now, it was a mistake, all right? It has been a disaster for Colorado in the Pac-12. And now they've got a chance to get out. They've got a chance to come back to the Big 12 Conference, where, of course, before that, they were part of the Big 8. They'll go back with this league decades and decades and decades. So come on back. I believe the Big 12 should welcome Colorado in. If I'm only adding two teams right now from the Pac-12 and I can't get Oregon and Washington, I would go Colorado and Arizona. That's where I would go if I was the Big 12, and I was looking to add two right now. Maybe you could add four. We've talked about the two Arizona schools, Colorado, and Utah. We've talked about those four corner schools being the way to go for the Big 12. I'm very open to that as well, and I believe that would be a great get for this league if they could add all four. But if they can't, and they only want to bring in two, or only two want to come in, I'm tapping into the Denver market with Colorado, where I get, the Denver media market, 30,000 undergrads, a great road trip for Big 12 fans. Be honest, all right, Facebook? Be honest in the comments. How many of you had a good time, old school Big 12 fans, going to Colorado on long weekend road trips? I still hear from old school Big 12 fans who loved going to Boulder for the weekend, who made a great long weekend out of that trip. It's fun. It's a great place to go. I'm looking right now at Facebook. Let's see. Scott writes, I would welcome them back. I know Colorado isn't great at football anymore, but they bring the Denver market to the Big 12. Bingo, Scott. You nailed it, big guy. You've got a top 20 media market you can add to the Big 12, along with, let's go through them. The biggest media markets in the Big 12 are going to be Dallas, Houston, then probably Kansas City, Orlando, with UCF coming into the mix. Cincinnati is about a top 30, 35 media market. As someone who works in radio, I kind of have these media markets lined up in my head. So Houston, Dallas, two in the top five, although you're going to compete with the SEC for those eyeballs, obviously. Kansas City's about 30. Cincinnati's about 30. Orlando's about 30. Salt Lake City's a bit smaller than that with BYU, although that's really a national brand. Denver gets you another top 20 media market. That's one of the biggest reasons you do it. And Brett Yormark knows that. That's why it makes sense. And that's why I like the fact that Brett Yormark is a guy that doesn't have ties to all the Big 12 drama from 12 years ago when Colorado bolted. Because this can't be, the Big 12 right now cannot be about pettiness from 12 years ago. It's got to be about putting together a league and putting together a conference that is in the best interests of this league moving forward. That makes it the clear number 3 conference in America behind the Big Ten and behind the SEC. That's all that matters. Drama and hatred and pettiness from 12 years ago, throw it out the window. It means nothing. It's time for all of us to move on. And that includes me. I readily admit I'm a Big 12 guy through and through. All right, you guys know that if you've followed this show for any length of time, if you've listened to the podcast, this website exists because I'm a Big 12 guy through and through. I started my radio career in Woodward, Oklahoma, and I fell in love with this conference. It was right around all the realignment drama, and then after I moved to New York, shifted eventually to Kansas City where I am right now, but I followed this league through and through, and I love this league. And I knew that this league did not get the attention and the credit that it deserves. That's how this whole website and this show started at Heartland College Sports. So I'm as big a believer in the Big 12, as big of a salesperson in the Big 12 as you're going to find. It's what I do. But I'm also willing, and I think we all have to be willing, to let bygones be bygones and say, if Colorado strengthens this league right now, you're going to say no? You're going to let the Pac-12 potentially survive this thing? You can't if you're the Big 12. Kelly writes, yes, that's fine with me. What else do we have on Facebook Live? Nancy writes, they were a bunch of jerks. Okay, all right, fine. They were. Guess who else was jerks? Nebraska. I'd welcome Nebraska back tomorrow if they wanted to come back. They're not going to come back because the Big Ten's going to get them $100 million a year, but I'd bring them back. I'd bring Mizzou back. I would. I'd bring A&M back. Also, I get it. None of these things are happening, but I'd do it. I would absolutely do it because it would be best for the Big 12. Patrick writes, they left because of Texas and their ego. UT is gone now. That's we're never going to know why exactly Nebraska left. We're never going to have the exact answer. What we do know and what we can say and what I believe is that, yes, they didn't like getting bullied around by Texas. Nobody in the Big 12 did. But when the Big 12 almost blew up and a bunch of the teams almost went west, and then it fell apart, Colorado, who had been eyeing the Pac-10 for 15 years at least, they've been looking west since the 90s at the Pac-10, said, we got to jump ship, we've got an invite, let's go. That's ultimately what that move came down to. And yeah, they were jerks. I'm not here to defend Colorado and how they left the league. But if you have a chance to take them back right now, you got to take them back. You've got to put the final nail in the coffin of the Pac-12 by poaching a couple of their best teams, most valuable teams. Most valuable is the key word, not best. I know Colorado stinks at football, but I actually think back in the Big 12, they'll get better because the Big 12 fan bases will travel there. There will be far more juice for their home games. There'll be more juice for their road games. It is just going to be a much better situation. They can recruit Texas because they're going to be playing a lot of games in Texas. And I was looking at it. I looked at some of the numbers in this piece I wrote on the website. They have seen an attendance dip at Colorado. So here's what, I'll just take you through the numbers here. From 2001 to 2010, Colorado had an average of nearly 300,000 fans in attendance over 6 home games. They got a big bump in 2011 when they joined the Pac-12 for the first year. New teams, that's just how it goes, right? Then in 2012, they saw their attendance dip to its lowest levels in 24 years. They then saw a resurgence in attendance pre-COVID, But ever since COVID, it feels like the passion for college football and the Pac-12 in general is down. And the data backs it up. The Pac-12 attendance peaked at 4.29 million back in 2013, and it has been steadily declining since then. In 2021, the Pac-12 attendance numbers were off 5% from 2019. Now, everybody was down slightly, but the Pac-12 was down more than the SEC, Big Ten, and Big 12. That's where, if you are the Big 12, you say to Colorado, look at where this thing is going in this league. This league, not only did you lose UCLA and USC, not only are you on the fritz as a league, but you guys had been trending downward to begin with on attendance, on passion. I mean, think about it. Think about what all those empty stadiums you saw last year when goobers like Stu Mandel at The Athletic was trying to find every excuse for why nobody was going to UCLA games when no one could go to a sporting event for the last 2 years. Those fans didn't show up then. That doesn't happen in Big 12 country. That does not happen here. And Colorado knows that. On Facebook Live, Tim writes, Colorado's Denver market would be very good for the league. Big 12 network is a must this time around. I disagree on that. The Big 12 network is a thing of the past. The idea of a conference network is a thing of the past. I don't believe it's needed. I think 10, 15 years ago, that was a play. First off, I don't think anyone's investing in a Big 12 network, or any conference network for that matter anymore. The money's not there in the age of cord cutting. And on top of that, you go OTT, you go digital. That's where the future is. If the Big 12 was smart, what they would do is launch a digital platform and have yours truly doing a show for them. I do a morning radio show in Kansas City. But you know what? I can add a little bit of something to my plate. I'm just saying, Big 12, if you're smart, you'll get the guys who have been following this league for years and years and years, who have the most popular Big 12 site on the internet, helping you get attention on your digital platforms. Just throwing it out there. All right? Jordan writes, I'm a Sun Devil and a Phoenix resident. I want to go to the Big 12, but as usual, our slow and no aggression administration seems to be content and stand pat. Yeah, Arizona State, there was a report this week from the AD at Arizona State who said all this stuff is overblown. I'm not hearing that's the case. So I don't know what's up at Arizona State. I know you guys have a major undergraduate population, so that's good for the Big 12. You get a ton of fans into the mix. I admit I take Arizona over Arizona State, but if you guys want to come in on a package deal, I'm open to that too. I'd love to see you guys come in with Arizona, with Colorado, with Utah, partner them up with BYU. I think that'd be awesome for the league. But Arizona State did come out publicly this week and make it seem like there's nothing here. And it's like, I don't know what rock they're living under, but clearly there's something here. Scott, Stu Mandel and John Wilner need to smell the roses because the Big 12 is going to take the Pac-12 schools. I agree. I completely agree. You get some of these national media folks out west, they've got their Pac-12 blinders on, all right? They've got their Pac-12 blinders on. There's no doubt about it. Joshua asks, what if ESPN is telling the Big 12 they won't expand money for added schools? Well, remember this. It's not just about ESPN. There are other options for the Big 12 when their TV contract comes up in 2 or 3 years. It's not just about ESPN. Fox will be in the mix. NBC reportedly is interested in possibly bidding on the Big 12. I would love to see CBS with the CBS Sports Network, Paramount Plus get in the mix. Who knows what Amazon's going to do? They've got Thursday Night Football this year. There's going to be other bidders. ESPN is not the only game in town. And if I was the Big 12, I would, if all else was equal, avoid operating and working with ESPN. After how last year went down with Oklahoma and Texas, Bob Bowlesby is threatening to sue them, cease and desist letters. I'm done with ESPN because ESPN is going to be so far up the backsides of the SEC and the Big Ten because that's where they're spending literally billions of dollars. There's going to be no time for the Big 12. The Big 12 is going to be an afterthought. Go to a broadcast company that's going to focus on you, that's going to rely on you, and that's going to be built around you. That's what the Big 12 should be doing. Scott says we need good rivalries in the Big 12 to get the eyeballs. Now that I agree with. And I think you can have that with Colorado coming back. We know those old Big 12 North rivalries, BYU and Utah, rivalry, the Arizona schools, rivalry. That can all happen. So all this stuff is still working its way through the system. I believe it's going to be a great, great end outcome for the Big 12, and I am very excited. Very, very excited to see where the future of this league goes. Joshua says, you don't think ESPN's trying to hold the Pac-12 together to lowball them? Maybe. But if these schools and these leagues are smart, they got to realize ESPN does not have a monopoly on college football anymore. It still is the biggest player. It still has the best hand, but it's not the only player. Sometimes you got to take a risk, and there's no better time than now with Amazons of the world, the Apples of the world, getting into live sports coverage to take a risk and take a chance. And I hope they all realize that, no matter what conference they're in. I'm Pete Mundo. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Facebook. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and all those different places. And, of course, all the written content is at heartlandcollegesports.com. We so appreciate you guys being here. Where can you get one of the T-shirts? We're going to be opening up a shop this fall. I'll be getting these. You know, we'll have hoodies, T-shirts, and we'll do it all for you. All right? We'll have koozies, although we still have koozies. If you are on the podcast and you leave a rating and a review on iTunes, we'll get you a free Heartland College Sports koozie when you send me a screenshot of your rating and review to Pete Mundo, MUNDO, at heartlandcollegesports.com. So appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend. Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Facebook, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Have a great night.